मेरा संगीत पॉडकास्ट पर आप सबका बहुत बहुत स्वागत है। मैं हूँ आपके साथ आपकी हमसफर कमल और आज मैं आपको लिए चल रही हूँ मेरा संगीत.com के आर्काइव्स में से एक मुलाकात की ओर। ये मुलाकात कई साल पहले हमने रिकॉर्ड की थी विद वन ऑफ इंडियाज फाइनेस्ट एक्टर्स फारूक शेख साहब, जो आज बेशक हमारे दरमियान नहीं है, लेकिन उनका काम हमेशा हम सब के दिलों के करीब रहेगा। सो चलिए फिर आपको मैं लिए चलूं कई साल पहले हुई इस रिकॉर्डिंग की ओर। Namaskar, Farooq Shaikh Saab. So, Farooq Shaikh Saab, I was wondering, after studying law, how did you get into acting and how did you think of taking up acting as a career?
It was purely coincidence because I had no plans or intentions of becoming a professional actor. Mm-hmm. But we were all part of a theatre group called Indian People's Theatre Association, IPTA.
Right.
And Mr. M.S. Satyu is one of our senior and more respected directors there. Uh-huh. He was cast for a film called Garm Hawa.
Right. Your first one.
And he had, of course, almost no money to make the film because it was being financed by a governmental institution.
Okay.
Which is not famous being generous. So he was looking for friends who would work for less than no money and give him all the dates that he required.
Okay.
So a whole lot of us were approached by him, and the script was very good, and we all have high respect and affection for Satya Saab. So we all said yes. We went and shot Garm Hawa in Agra, and the film turned out to be very well, very good.
Yes.
And then Mr. Satyajit Ray was casting for his first and unfortunately last Hindi film called Shatranj Ke Khiladi.
Yeah, right.
And he gave me a call and he said that he'd like to cast me in a role in that film.
Okay.
And Ray Saab being as celebrated and well respected as he is, I immediately said yes. Then coincidentally Muzaffar Ali Saab contacted me and said, I'm making a film called Gaman.
Okay.
And he said, I'd like you to do the role in that film. So it sort of happened by chance, and I completed my law, but I never practiced for a day. Profession of the lawyers has been spared.
हमारी खुश नसीबी है because we would have missed a wonderful actor, because whenever we see you on screen, it's not like somebody who's really pushing hard. It's not like somebody who's trying to portray something. It's just something which comes so naturally and so easily. You just fit into the character that you've played.
Very kind of you, Kamalji. It actually stems from the fact that we started with a different set of filmmakers.
Right.
Who insisted on doing it as close to real life as possible.
True.
So what is to you at your point of starting or at your earlier stage,
right,
is something stays with you willy-nilly.
I think so.
That has been the manner of my work, and I'm really grateful to people who helped me out in the beginning.
Farooq Shaikh Saab, then came a beautiful movie which has remained in the hearts of people. Still now, if people can relate to Farooq Shaikh, one movie which always would stand out in people's minds is Noori. Such a beautiful film. It did so well. And
yes, it did very well.
Yeah. So any moments you remember of the film while shooting it?
Well, again, Noori was another setup of friends with Mr. Ramesh Talwar, Mr. Manmohan Krishnan, large number of people in the cast. They're all people from Ita and friends and people who are, in close contact with you.
Right.
So we went to a place called Bhadarwa, which is about 200 kilometers in the interiors of Jammu. One of the most idyllic and beautiful spots that you can imagine.
Right.
But it had no facility of any kind. No hotels, no restaurant, no nothing. We just went there, and the people who scouted for the location found it ideal for the film, which it was.
Right.
But shooting there was not the most ideal position to be in, because there were no roads worth talking about. You had to walk like 4 kilometers each way every day to reach a location for a song, which for the actors and the directors, etc., was not such a tough ask. For the people who were carrying the reflectors and the equipment and things like that, for them it was a Herculean task, and full marks to them. They did it without grimace or a complaint.
Right.
All of the players were outstandingly hospitable and cooperative and very, very kind, which is why we were able to complete the film without any hindrance.
Farooq Shaikh Saab, moving on to the television, you moved on, and then there were some beautiful serials that we got to see. Ji Mantri Ji was one which I think everybody would look forward to, and it did really well. So how did you think of, from cinema, from the silver screen to television? How did this happen?
Actually, I had done television for about 5 years earlier to joining films. It was a program called Hindi Yuv Darshan, which used to be on Doordarshan. In those days, there was just that Doordarshan which went from 6 to 10 p.m.
Right.
And somebody from there had contacted me to do a talk show for the youth, and I said yes, and it seemed to have done well, so we kept doing it for about 5 years. And so that was really my first foray into television. Then when serials and things started coming up, I got an offer to do a serial called Shrikant. So Sharat Babu's autobiographical novel, and that was did by very competent Mr. Raveen Mishra and written by extremely talented Mr. Ali Raza, who's unfortunately no more with us. I did that. I sort of made it a principle to do either films at one time or television at one time, but not the two together.
Okay.
So when I was doing television, I was not doing any cinema. When I was doing cinema, I was not doing any television. Television, as you know, has picked up by leaps and bounds, would be putting it mildly.
Right.
So
That is there.
It has thrown so many offers for so many people that now it's for us to pick and choose what we'd like to do and what we'd not like to do, because there are scores of channels doing hundreds of programs, and it's become like the actors market.
True. So Farooq Shaikh Saab, we've had some wonderful, memorable experiences, watching your films. I especially loved Umrao Jaan. That was a beautiful film, something which can just be put in the archives and you can go back and see it again and again. Of course, there was Maya Mem Saab, there was Bivi Ho To Aisi, Saath, another movie, all these movies was very nice. Bazaar, Chashme Badur, of course, and Noori, of course, as we mentioned. You worked with a number of co-stars.
Yeah, that's right.
Of course, we get this regular answer that working with everybody was comfortable. But if we ask you specifically, on screen, whom was it very, very comfortable to be with?
2 or 3 of my regular co-stars have been people whom I knew before I entered films.
Okay.
Say, for example, Deepti Nawal I knew before she entered films. Shabana ji I knew because she was in the same college as me.
Right.
Smita I knew because, again, she was in the same college as me. So there is obviously a comfort level that exists with people whom you know before you start working with each other.
Right.
The other person whom I worked with and whom I had never known before I worked with was Rekha ji.
Umrao Jaan.
So we began with Umrao Jaan, and then we did, I think, 2 or 3 more films after Umrao Jaan.
Right.
So one was a little wary and apprehensive because there were lots of stories about how Rekha ji is known to be temperamental, or she's known to throw her weight around, or etc.
Okay.
So we were all a little wary, but it turned out that she was the most cooperative and the most non-complaining of the entire unit.
Oh. Okay.
That turned out to be like an eye-opener and a very welcome surprise. These are what turned out to be just rumor. So Umrao Jaan, obviously one was very comfortable working with her in the other films that one did. And I've been very fortunate in that sense. So another factor is that if I don't like the script, if I don't like the director, if I don't like who I'll be working with, I prefer not to do the film. So generally I've been very fortunate in not running into any trouble with either my directors or my fellow artists.
A lot of us go by that saying a number of times that behind every successful man there is a woman. So does this stand true for you too?
For me it sounds, stands triply true because I have 2 daughters as well.
Okay.
So not only do I have one behind me, I have on both sides of me. So I have 3 women behind whatever I'm doing.
That's wonderful. So Farooq Shaikh Saab, before we wind up, if you could give out a message to all our listeners.
So have a great life. Do as much good as you can. Thank you. Very kind. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Farooq Shaikh Saab. It's a dream come true. Thank you so much, Farooq Shaikh Saab, for being a part of our show.
All the best to you, Kamal. Very nice speaking with you.
Thank you so much.
And I hope you enjoyed this conversation with one of India's finest actors, Farooq Shaikh Saab, recorded many, many years back and brought to you from merasangeet.com's archives. So यूं ही आप सुनते चलें मेरा संगीत पॉडकास्ट, चैट एंड चाय विद कमल.